Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning into this session, Abnormal AI Back to the Future. I'm Wei Key, Client Services Director at Shaped By. With me here today is Maria McLaughlin, Senior Director, Global Brand and Creative from Abnormal AI, and Tom Evans, our Creative Director at Shaped By. So, our team, including Tom and myself, have had the absolute pleasure of partnering with Maria and her team at Abnormal over the past year. Today, we're here to have a chat about the full scale rename and rebrand that we collaborated on. From foundational strategy right down to every visual and verbal detail, it's been an incredible journey filled with the inevitable constraints, challenges, and setbacks these strategic pivotal projects bring. But we successfully launched earlier this year in April, and it has been one of the most rewarding experiences all round. We're here to share with you how we successfully navigated the rebrand process. So, welcome both. So delighted to have the opportunity to chew the rebrand fat with you two.
Love that.
Thanks, Wei.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you,
We
Wei. So nice to be here. Delighted. Thank you.
Maria, let's start with you. You were one of the guests on last year's BYOB. We just started working with you and the Abnormal team. A year on, how would you say that our relationships evolved?
That's a great question, Wei. First of all, it's so wonderful to just have the opportunity to have met you guys. Your work had preceded you. We were excited to sort of like find you out in the wild and like start to make that initial connection. And, obviously you guys have done this entire rebrand with us. So that's been a massive transition for me, for our team. It was incredibly complimentary to bring you in. And you've been able to help us, through a rename and an entire rebrand during a time in which we were also obviously still trying to just like push through all of the pipeline work and everything else. It's been really wonderful just to collaborate. And, I know we'll talk more about like the benefits of working with Shape by and what it can do for you. But I just really value the partnership that you all have been able to bring to my team.
Ditto. I remember last year's BYOB session like it was yesterday, actually. This year's gone quite fast. It
Too
was
fast.
with this year, yes, too fast. It was with yourself, Ben Long, creative director at Rubric, and we've worked with for many, many years. And he's sort
Yes.
of part of our inner circle. We love Ben, even though it was very early on in our relationship area. I recall that there was great chemistry between us. Lots of synergy in our thinking, a lot of giggles. But I've always thought that chemistry is one of the key pillars of a successful partnership. So a year on,
Yeah.
here we are, and I'm very happy to say that I am right. That I always say to my partner, I'm always right.
Love that so
So
much. Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. It's a privilege and
yeah,
an honor. It's really wonderful. You guys have been so outstanding. Honestly, it's just been great. And I loved, for instance, like just working on the photo shoot with you all, the work that we did together, being able to be live and in the room and like actually see how everybody fluidly works together. I always say that for creative crew, it's a lot about the alchemy, like all the little parts that come together. And I just
for
felt
sure.
that working with you guys, it was very natural, and like you said, the synergies just kind of came, so it was really great.
Yeah, we would echo the sentiment, right, Tomo?
Oh no, absolutely. No, it's been so enjoyable, Maria, and I think that's the beauty of it. Is the mutual respect and the ability to just collaborate freely, as you say, has meant that all of
Yeah.
those finer pieces and details and things have come together a lot more naturally and organically as such throughout the process.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
speak the same language. I think that's
Mm.
important as well.
yeah.
Maria, for a process like this, how important is it to bring key stakeholders on board? And who were the key internal stakeholders at Abnormal AI? And how did our teams
Yeah.
help bring them on this journey with us?
It's a great question, Wei. Obviously you always want to be able to have the final decision maker in the room. In my experience, and I've been around for a while, so you often don't get that person in the room. You often don't get them to have their attention. We were so incredibly lucky. This was just sort of like a dream project where we worked really directly with the CEO and Riser on this project. He was incredibly committed all along the way and very passionate about it. So we were very, very lucky, obviously, working with Evan and then, Mike DeCesar, who's our president. And he is an essential moment of like, weighing in and things like that. So bringing him along and the process, as well as a lot of the folks just like in the senior leadership department at marketing at Abnormal AI, and then the brand creative team really brought their own sets of skills to each moment, and we collaborated in small ways alongside Evan all throughout the process. So it was
Mm.
really great how we were able to create this like tiger team, if you will.
Yeah.
And yeah, Shape by was great and just like enabling us to like have those conversations, being available, being ready, Tom getting on late at night, like us having
Yeah, we're
these
gonna come to
meetings.
that.
Yeah.
Yes.
As a client services person, I'm often asked, what could derail a project, and
Yeah.
stakeholder engagement or lack thereof is always top of the list. There's
Yeah.
identifying the right stakeholders,
Yeah.
engaging them at the right time, reconciling their feedback, pushing back when necessary, too many cuts and all that, and then getting alignment. It really, really is a full-time job in itself.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely for sure. And hey, listen, we didn't have a perfect process. Nobody ever does, right? So, but we were, as for usual, being audaciously ambitious at Abnormal. And, I had, I
Love
think a
that.
meeting.
Audaciously ambitious. Gonna
Audacious,
steal
yeah,
that
straight
one.
out of
That's
straight out
great.
of
Yeah.
Evan's mouth. So, it was sort of like if we go in the Wayback Time machine, the like November, we were deciding, oh, okay, they, Evan and Mike brought me in a room with our head, the VP of product at that time and product marketing, and said, "Hey, Maria, we're going to change the name of the business back to like our original name." And I said, "Oh wow, okay." I'm excited. I've been excited for us to like push on that lever for 3 years. I'm like 4 years in. So let's do this. And we bifurcated the effort really like the head of product marketing went and worked with Mike DeCesar, the president, and like myself, I went and worked with Evan, and like we kind of like split that. It worked very, very well for a long time. Converging everybody at the end, it was a little tricky. I'm not gonna, say it was perfect, but I think it did help us to like make progress with velocity. So, it was the approach that we took, and it ended up being, working out fairly well for us. And then just making sure we could bring those two different folks, which have like a good, healthy tension amongst them, like along and make those decisions was critical, as you mentioned, Wei. So Tom, yeah, I wanted to ask you a little bit about like, as we were working with Evan and we had those direct calls with him. How were you thinking about preparing for those calls and, getting the best out of those moments?
Yeah, thanks, Maria. I would say, well, I'm not going to pretend that it wasn't quite intimidating to start with, because I think to me it really highlighted the significance of the project and what we were trying to collectively achieve,
Yeah.
both for the brand and the business. Obviously, Maria, we have rapport and we had, a working relationship as such. But I
Yep.
appreciated that Evan didn't know me from Adam, and so I was very much aware that I needed to kind of prove myself, build a level of trust, show some of our capabilities, etc. But the beauty of it was that as we started that process and the frequency of those discussions and things, very quickly I came to really enjoy those discussions. And the more I started to understand the intent and the passion behind Evan's vision and things, and we worked collectively to kind of extract that from Evan, and we proved some of our capabilities and our quick iterative work, etc. It actually became a really enjoyable kind of crit group as such. And I actually got to the point where I was nerdy enough to actually really, really look forward to those calls. And it's not to say it wasn't stressful. And as you said, Maria,
Yeah.
it wasn't linear and perhaps not best practice, but things never are in our industry, I find. So
Yeah.
um, I think from my point of view, what was key was opening the sessions with a kind of a recap of the last discussion and some of the objectives that we determined, so that we could kind of rationalize our thinking. We could revisit what we'd determined in those earlier conversations and look at the proposed solution with rationale in mind, so that we could take a more evidence-based approach. And I think that was really in mind to just avoid some subjectivity, to make sure that the different components of what we were working on started to align with one another, and we could really hone in on the direction of travel as we worked through those conversations. And we were discussing really complex terms in very quick
Yes.
succession.
Yes.
And,
Yes, we
and
were.
we also fully appreciated that Evan's time was really stretched. And as you said earlier, Marie, it's rare that you get that opportunity to have that FaceTime with such a leader within an organization, and really saw it as a great opportunity. So yeah, it wasn't without its challenges, and it was intimidating, but really grew to enjoy that process and that creative freedom that it gave us to kind of iteratively explore ideas and work collaboratively around them.
Yeah.
Um,
It was
I
fantastic.
remember from the internal downloads, Tomo, that we had after your syncs with Evan, that you had quite a lot in common. So for want of a better word, there was an element of like geeking out
Yeah,
together.
yeah, that's probably
And
fair.
yeah, and you being sort of fully cognizant of the references that Evan was throwing into the ring, I feel like
Yeah.
that commonality helped massively with your connection, and that in turn, then kind of helped with eking out the nuggets for our teams to translate and to bring to life in the rebrand process.
Oh, definitely. Well, yeah, no, I think that's a really good observation because, yeah, there was an affiliation in some of the thinking, the aesthetics, some of the reference
Hmm.
materials, things like that, which naturally helps in conversations. Obviously, there's many
Yep.
scenarios where that doesn't exist, but I think what made it particularly enjoyable and perhaps brought down some of those initial barriers in the short timescales was just the affiliation in some of the things that we were exploring, etc. And I think it naturally helped the conversation to flow and confidence to grow and progress to be seen, etc. as well. So,
And
um,
relate as human beings as well,
well, yeah,
kind of
that's
the
it. Which
Yeah.
commonality.
which you are a great ambassador for, Wade, because ultimately we are just trying to connect at a human level, you know, whether it be
Yeah.
directly or through our graphic communication, etc. So, yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. Not easy.
Maria,
Yes.
no, no, never easy, never linear, but yeah, it's what we're here for. Maria, to throw one back at you. Obviously, there was a lot of components in play. How did you make sure that both of our teams were always aligned on the various objectives on such an ambitious and pivotal project for the business?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We had our standing Monday meeting, and that always was a great touch point. But
Mm.
given that, like, I was meeting with Evan twice a week for months, which is just like an incredibly, you know, dense kind of a schedule. Providing the like having very crisp notes. And then I think sort of as I had alluded to earlier, having these like very small like little group meetings and collabing like tightly with like I would bring in like John, my senior designer, or maybe my head of UX UI, Julia, and like working with Evan and then getting back with you guys and pulling
Mm.
in these like very small meetings, Leslie being on board and Rachel as well, like coming in and just like having a good listening session. And then we kind of needed to debrief because, when you work with a senior leader, they don't always have time to like listen to your inputs and they just want to like share with you their thoughts. And then you have to go away and
Mm.
like digest that, figure it out,
Yep.
extract that. So I feel that we were able to do that with you guys very well. I think it was, tricky to like kind of find our way along the path and like align those stakeholders as we mentioned, but in the end, we really were able to build something deep and rich that succeeded in the vision that was being put in front of us. So yeah, I think it worked out really well. And yeah, just having that regular touch point, you guys being very available, disregard, without regard to like time zone, it was always I was always able to like have you, show up and do what we needed. And yeah, just worked out great.
One of the things that we love most about our collaboration is the team dynamics, Maria.
Yeah.
And by this, I don't just mean the inter team dynamics between Shaped by and Abnormal, but also actually the intra team dynamics. We
Mhm.
really love how respectful your team is with each
Oh, that's
other,
nice.
and how
Yeah.
everyone has a voice and how supportive you all are of each other is really evident. That you celebrate your joint successes while at the same time kind of weathering the not so insignificant pressures of a
Yes.
rebrand on
Yes.
top of
Yes.
your day jobs. And I think
Yes.
that is down
Yes.
to
Thank you.
your wonderful leadership. It's just a very tight team, and we, we,
Thank
we
you,
we
Wei.
love, like how your team collaborates as well as our collaboration with your team.
Thank you. That's a huge compliment. I really take it to heart. I love my team there. I often say actually that this is the best team I've ever managed in all of my 25 years of leading teams. So I'm really, really proud of them. And they really give their heart and soul to the work, which I think reveals itself. And that's why like the
Yeah,
work is good. You know what I mean? So
it
um
shows
yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
yeah. And I feel like you guys did that too. So Tom, one for you is just, like how did you and like the Shape by team think about like, there were a lot of challenges like to develop
Mm,
this creative. Like how did you guys think
mm.
about that? And yeah, how did you go about it with us in that process?
Yeah, it's a good one, Maria. I think the most challenging element was, as we've been discussing, with the timescales, because at times it was really brutal, either same
Yes.
day or 2-day turnarounds. And as you touched on, Maria, in terms of your agenda of meetings, it
I
was it
know.
was paramount that we showed up with something, we'd made progress, and we were moving in the right direction, etc. And so
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we really, as we've been discussing, it was around working collaboratively, working systematically, trying to ensure that we were really clear on the intent, in terms of the direction of travel before moving into execution or some of the finer details. And
Yeah.
I think, combinations of quick scamps, proofs of concept, collaborative Figma environments, etc., mood boards, enabled
Totally.
us to really pin down that thinking before we over elaborated in terms of the execution of elements. Um, and that enabled us to stay on those quite rigid timescales, and use the time as effectively as possible, particularly those sessions with Evan, and make sure that we were extracting the insights that we needed, to
For
move
sure.
forwards effectively.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And there's a lot to be proud of, and y- I think, we should maybe just like thinking about what we were able to achieve, in this work is I was reflecting with the team on it, just yesterday. We've been asked to like start like what are the incremental evolutions we want to make, and we felt really proud to like look back at something we launched, 5 or 6 months ago, and like now we're out here and we're like, hey, this thing has legs. Like we can evolve this. Like it is a durable brand that we've built. It was thoughtful. It has breadth and depth, and there's like some small motions that we can make now and adjustments that will bring it to that next level. And it feels like a natural growth point as opposed to like, ooh, this is broken and we have to go change entirely that piece. I think, there's like little pieces we can add, like some things will like, turn the dial down on, but it feels very natural in that way. So super proud from like a creative standpoint about that. In terms of like the business, we literally had our best quarter ever in Q2 financially. So that is
Yay.
something insane to say at a 90% plus growth company. This is like the fastest growing company I've ever worked at in my career. And it's just been, quarter over quarter, bananas growth. And, to say that like after a rename and a rebrand that we were able to achieve that number is just insane. And so great collaboration and thanks to all of you.
Yeah, that is just incredible. And
Yeah.
it's speed is one thing. We were moving at great speed, but being able to do meaningful work, like you say, that you can build on, I think at that speed is really kind of the crux of it. It's not just about moving fast. It
Yeah.
has to
Yes,
be
absolutely.
meaningful.
Meaningful,
I think
good,
it's
quality.
so important. It's
Yeah.
so important when you're working at that brand level as well, that you're not constantly having to reinvent the wheel. That the
Yes,
foundational elements
for
are
sure.
are there to build
Yeah.
upon, and as you
Yeah.
say,
Mm.
to evolve. And it's not to say that it's going to be 100% correct, but the thinking is solid. It's a robust
Mm.
system. It's flexible. It enables itself to kind of move forwards and evolve and change as it needs to. So that's really good to hear. Obviously, the business outcomes are tremendous, Maria. But from a
Yeah.
Yeah.
creative stance, I think that's really rewarding that you're finding that the brand is performing in that way, and
Yeah.
gives that opportunity.
For
Yeah, because
sure.
I think at the end of the day, it is the business outcomes really that
Absolutely.
we're
Yeah.
all striving
Mm.
towards. I think that the creative outcomes gives us that sort of pride because we're in the industry, but really, like the main objective is almost a business outcome. So, like just what you said, it sounds absolutely phenomenal, and like we're really really grateful to have been on this journey with you. So, Maria, what has been the reaction both inside and outside the business to the launch of the new abnormal AI identity?
Yeah, yeah, it's been great, and, as I alluded to, obviously, it's been received super well in the market, in terms of people, being ready. I think it drives that confidence. I think, brand is a lot about perception, right? So, it's how, like, people receive and see and connect with, your business offering, the people inside the business, like, how, that shows up. People are really energized and excited about it inside, internally, I would say, like, 95% of our customers were like very excited about the reception. AI being what it is, like there were always the questions like, is this like, are you, truly this? And, we are very much like a deep machine learning detection engine. That is who we are and who we've always been. We've had customers telling us, from like, after 12 months after I started, like, you guys should be focusing on this. This should be your message. And it just wasn't at that time, back in like 2021, the market wasn't ready for this conversation. And I think the executive team, rightly so, they weren't ready to like pivot away from like our security name, which really enabled people to understand who we are and what we did. And now, that we've grown tremendously, like I said, sort of like quarter over quarter, year after year, in a very short period of time, we had the ability for that perception to be received appropriately. And so it really did land. I think the timing was really right. It was a great call from like leadership and, everybody getting behind it in the business. One of the great things about Abnormal is like there's a lot of great energy, a ton of really, really smart people. And so, you get that mix going and like it just is a flywheel for, success. So it's been great. Thanks.
Yeah, I thought that the excitement was palpable when we went to your after party at RSA,
Yeah.
which was a couple of months after the launch of the rebrand, and we thought, Tom and I were there, we thought you really showed up there. And
Yeah.
personally, I loved the revitalization of the brand, kind of looking back at your AI roots and then
Yeah.
reimagining it for today and for the
Yeah.
future. And for me, the rebrand, reinforced your singular focus on, solving today's cyber challenges with a
Yeah.
uniquely different approach driven by behavioral AI.
Yeah.
And all of it is evidenced by, Abnormal AI being named as a top 20 company on the Forbes annual Cloud 100 list. And I think
Yeah.
I know you're recognized as customer's choice in Gartner peer-to-peer insights. And Abnormal AI is, as Bloomberg said, a brand to watch in tech, and
Yeah.
that's a huge accolade. And even though we know that, success is the sum of so many parts, the stake in the sand, in the ground with your new brand identity, I think goes some way towards all of these accolades, which is,
Yeah.
they are genuinely pretty amazing.
Thank you. Thank you for the listicle. I'm terrible at that. I don't like to self-promote. We're
Let
we're
me do
always
it for
looking
you.
ahead and not like we don't, one of our actually I would say like our Achilles heel at Abnormal is that we don't take a victory lap. Like we just like keep pushing
It's the same
forward.
as us.
And
Yeah.
so, it's wonderful to like remember the list and celebrate more. We've been talking more about doing that internally because we've been working so hard. So
Yeah,
yes,
they are
absolutely.
just incredible
Yeah.
achievements, and I really
Yeah.
wanted to call them out because
Thank
actually
you.
our DNA is similar because at Shaped by we tend to be the same. We kind of just we're
Yeah.
quite quiet achievers, and then we
Yeah.
kind of do a good job, and then we just go hee hee okay, and then when we'll just kind of move
Running
on. But
into the next challenge straight after the last.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's
but
that
I think
next
it's so
brick wall?
important to take
Yeah.
stock, take stock of
Mm.
Yeah.
everything that's gone into it and what's come out
Yeah.
of it. So yeah,
Absolutely. Thank you.
I think that's
That's
why these
wonderful.
conversations are rewarding, though, just to have opportunity to take stock, as you say, and just have
Yeah.
dialogue around what we all collectively went through and the journey we went on
exactly.
and the rewards that we reap from it. It's lovely.
Maria, you gave us what we all felt was the highest praise when you said in your testimonial that with Shaped by, you're always building something extraordinary. What advice would you give to anyone who's looking to achieve the same with their creative agency?
Yeah. It's a really good question, Wei. Thank you. I think you really just have to find the right group of people, the right team, the ones that listen, the ones that like collaborate with you and really help you get to the root of the problem and find that deep insight that allows you to like pivot and move forward. You kind of have to like make a switch and then leap forward into like new territory. So you have to be going with a team of folks that will help you like feel safe, feel comfortable, feel confident. We all know the creative process is a lot about like trying out a lot of things and like failing a bunch and then like finding the right hook and like moving forward. But you can't do that when, you're amongst a group of people that you don't collaborate really smoothly with. And I've worked with a lot of different, agencies over my years. And it's not always easy. It's not always easy to find like a group of folks that not only create great work product, but enable you to like feel empowered to like go back to your team and like deliver that work product or feel supported when you go into those meetings. And you guys really were able to do that for me. So, my advice would be find those folks that like complement you, complement your team, complement the work that you're trying to do with your business and, go forward with them in that way.
What are you most excited about going into 2026, Maria?
Yeah, lots of things. So, as we built, right? I told you, buckle your seatbelt. So, as we built the brand, we've sort of been letting the dust settle and like refocusing on driving pipeline and, seeing how like these new clothes fit. So that's been great. I think we're finally at an inflection point where we can stop and like make some slight adjustments and then really up level everything. So, we have
Mhm.
actually grown, my team has grown by 100%. Like right after we launched
That's
the brand,
crazy.
we grew 100%. My team alone, the marketing team grew by like 60% and then, another, 10% in the last 5 days. Like it's just been this banana growth. So we have doubled and tripled in our sizes and we need to really like think about up leveling the work we're doing externally. So if we're thinking about the owned channels, I'm really excited about taking on like how do we up level the website? How do we up level those big hero
Mm,
moments? How do we up level the experience for the users across that place where they come in for us? And then how do we look at those small beats? Like how do we get out on social and how do we engage folks with something that's like a little bit juicier, a little more exciting, a little more sticky. So like big beats and small beats on own channels. But what I'm most excited about is this list of 30 ideas that we have that we need to like pick through and decide what are the three big ones that we're going to do for the brand. So, we've been talking about lots of ideas. We've been discussing how do we like choose these ideas. We have this like ROI brand calculator that we're using to like use as a decision tree to like pick through the best ones. And then also like just continue to have a list that the various folks across the organization can dump ideas into because, great ideas come from everywhere. So we're really
mhm.
looking to live by that motion and then bring them to life. So stay tuned very soon, coming to you. We have
I'm looking for that seatbelt.
yeah, stay on the edge of your seat, but put your seatbelt on because it'll happen fast. Yeah, but we've started to do some small work with social, and it's been great because it's really enabled us to like, you know, get fresh with like what we were doing. I think when you rebuild something, you're looking for like structure and an ability to like go forward and create consistency. So we've done that. We had a lot of like self-service tools and like ability for like everybody to self like enable for like various things across like whether it's the sales team or like the marketing team, content team, product marketing, all that. So we built that foundation and now we can like have a little bit of fun. So that's what I'm most excited about. Yeah. How about you?
Amazing.
How about you guys?
Well,
Yeah,
now
how
I'm
about you,
excited about
Tommy?
everything you just mentioned. But yeah, no, on a similar page, I think, Marie, having determined those foundational elements, we only got to in the timings that we had got to experiment with them in certain guises, and so I'd love to stress test it in some of those platforms and own channels,
Yeah.
as you said, to
Yeah.
see how we can really up level it, how it can really start to take on its personality and some of that conceptual thinking.
Yeah.
So yeah, it feels like there's really exciting opportunity ahead to build upon that foundational work that we've done and have the brand kind of communicate and express itself more intuitively, I guess, moving forward. So yeah, I
Love
think
it.
that's the crux of my excitement. Way, what would you say yours is?
So for me, I know that there are great things in store for Abnormal. So excited about working with you all to continue to tell your story in your bold, your own bold, but most importantly,
Yeah.
authentic way, and just
Yeah.
really helping you spread the good word about, your your exciting holistic platform solution that now encompasses email, identity, and AI security.
Yeah.
But most of all, on a personal level, I'm excited about continuing to getting to know you, Maria, and each of
Aw.
your team members better, sort of understanding your challenges, your professional and your personal ambitions, and just
Awesome.
doing everything in our ability to kick some super big goals with you all together. And then, of course, to hang out at RSA in March.
Yeah, stay tuned
That
and
was so
like who's the
fun.
talent. Yeah, it's really all about that big party. It'll be at the Warfield again, but we don't know who the talent is yet. I can't tell. I mean, we do know, but I won't tell.
But we're not allowed to. Yeah, okay.
Stay
You'll
tuned
let us know when the time is right.
when the time is right.
And on
Awesome.
that note, I
Yeah.
want to say a big thank you to you, Maria. We appreciate you
Oh,
so very much. Thank you for the
you're very
partnership
kind.
and for just being you. Tom,
Oh.
oh, we definitely spend far too much time together, but like I always say, I couldn't ask for a better partner in crime. And thank you everybody for tuning in. I hope you gleaned some useful insights from our session. And if there's just one key takeaway is that a rebrand, it is a daunting task and definitely not for the faint-hearted. But if you surround yourself with good teams, both internally and externally, it goes such a long way towards setting yourself up for success. So thank you, everybody. Thank you both.
Thank you, Wei.
Thanks, Wade.
Such a
Thanks,
delight.
Maria.
Really appreciate you. Take care.